first, Caroline, thank you very much for the speech. And I know that we've all seen different versions of your speeches over your time with Toastmasters. And I have to say, for me personally, this one was different. And I was trying to observe in what ways you improved and what stood out to me as unique. And one of the things that I noticed first was your pacing and your cadence. I had sort of noticed that in a lot of your speeches there was a certain amount of uniformity to your speech that made it difficult for us to ingest what you were telling us at times. And in this one, you really let it breathe, you gave nice spacing, and you looked very comfortable. And that kind of let us settle into the content and not get distracted with the volume of information that you might have been serving up to us. You started really great with an opening that I think set the stage as something thought-provoking. So the other thing is I look for is does the speech have good content? Is it challenging? Is it something that we're going to take home and leave us affected? And in this case, I think you gave us some meat. You gave us some things to think about that were relevant to us, and things that I think all of us, especially in Toastmasters, think about as comparisons. And then you took us into a personal story, which storytelling, huge in terms of giving a speech that's going to be memorable, and make sure that you are someone that can actually speak on the subject that you're talking about. So your personal story of running perfect, because that actually is a literal competition, and talking about how you got your personal best, but you weren't as excited or happy as you could have been because you were still doing comparison. And again, that's something I think we can all relate to. And so then at the end, you had a nice call to action. This is what I'm asking of you. Stop, pause, don't compare yourself. Think about how you are improving. And then you finished with a good, strong closing, which was essentially focus on how you're improving, and then you will then be happy and be able to be joyful through it. So what ways could you improve the speech? I think there's still an opportunity to be a little bit more dynamic. It started, I think, throughout the whole thing, it settled into a nice pace, but it kept that pace, which means in the latter half of the speech, you might need something to kind of reinvigorate the audience in some way. I think then also perhaps another story, and maybe a comparison story. If you'd ended with a story where you were perhaps completely joyful, a moment that was the inverse of what you were talking about, that might have been a nice way to end on something that leaves us with a positive note, but also reinforces your point, which could be, I was not thinking about comparison, and this is a moment where I was in complete joy, and here's why. So those would be a couple points of things that I think that would be worthwhile to explore to further enhance the speech. But overall, yeah, it was noticeable improvement to me. I didn't quite remember the first version of the speech, but this one was again something that I thought was a unique step for you as a speaker. So overall, awesome job.